This isn't right.
That's a nice angle there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, spherical joints love working at, you know, their maxed out angle. So, as you guys know, we had to get this car to SEMA. John and I stopped working for a day to slam the engine and suspension in this thing so it could at least look like a car. You guys voted on our shop tour, and this is what we're gonna work on next. And when I say we, I really mean Dan.
I mean, I'm just picking up where you left off. I heard you were the last person to touch it.
Me and John, but we didn't like, it's so embarrassing. Cut to when John and I were SEMA car builders.
Rotary sounds, rotary turbo sounds.
What the hell is going on?
It's big, dude.
Wow, this is how you do the left-hand drive conversion?
Yeah, so the monster long intake runners, is that just all style or is that mad torque gains?
Nitrous to, no, it's for the vacuum as auto plate.
Hey! Oh! It's a finger eater! Ah! John, you want to come down a smidgen?
Smidgen?
Let's say, we come in a bit and then down. Get the bell housing past the core. Guys, that was like TV engine install. Unfortunately for Dan, that means that we didn't really do a good job putting it together because it was just like putting together a model car that didn't have to do anything. And now that he's tasked with getting it running, there's quite a bit to do, which is
anything.
sort of everything.
That was my quick list of what we need to do. Just pop in the hood.
Yeah, it's
After I looked at it, like, oh, there's no fuel lines.
SEMA car.
Yeah, I found the drive shaft. So,
Oh, it had a Bluetooth drive shaft in it too, so that was
typical SEMA car.
Yeah, it
no
was
drive shaft at all.
Yeah.
No.
So we did a real SEMA build. There was a lot of time and effort thinking about what parts to not leave on it to make sure that it really fit in at the show. And you know, no drive shaft is great because it didn't have brake lines either. So getting it on and off tow trucks is really interesting because you can't stop it any type of way. So it was good, full blown build. So when Dan asked me for a quick run through, I was like, yeah, you should probably check through this whole thing and just
point me in the right direction.
Yeah, so what I would do is probably start with doing a whole new build on it. Like take the engine out.
Is there a clutch in it? Like,
There is a clutch in it. We did it. We didn't shim the throwout bearing.
so I have to
Probably needs to come back out.
probably gonna pull the trans off and just look at it.
Yeah. We need to build this thing. It needs to be a burnout monster. And luckily now we have Dan on board. He's pretty motivated to make this thing shred.
I love it.
Over the next bunch of episodes, you're gonna watch this thing go from this dusty, gross burden in our shop to something that we can actually have fun with. So,
Do we like the wrap? Should we take it off?
this thing looked really freaking cool when it was just white with the gray wheels.
Yeah.
And we actually joked and called this its Halloween costume since SEMA's right around Halloween. And the original story is that you can cut to like a picture or something of what John actually designed. Dude showed up to do the wrap and was like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen in the amount of time you need it. So we kind of dialed it back and
So
now
you
we
landed on pink flames. That's where you landed.
I didn't land anywhere. Your boy right here wouldn't put flames on his car. It's got all the components to be really cool, like the wheels fit good.
Yeah, but there's no brakes.
It's got brakes, they just don't work.
Wi-Fi connection there as well.
Oh yeah. So yeah, just if you want to run some Ethernet cables down to the brakes and put a new wireless router in the dash or something, we'll get this thing
Who
going.
installed the manifold?
I don't know, we all did. I think, I'm just gonna blame everything else on Bad Daddy Braddy.
I want him to come in and at least help me look around it.
Yeah, I mean, he's the LS guy, so comment below if you want to see more of Brad here helping Dan. We'll probably make him do some stuff too because he's good. He's a good workhorse.
He's a fun dude to be around.
Yeah, and he's like the LS guy. I mean, do you know nitrous?
I do, yeah. I've dealt with it in Formula D. I just know that this is way too much nitrous for this.
What do you mean?
This is stock LS1.
Is this like danger to manifold levels of nitrous?
You won't even get a danger to manifold. They just shoot it to the
Just
sky.
floorboard will just fall right out.
Just like the movie.
What's your first plan of attack? Realistically, now that you know you have to do literally everything,
I have to-
what do you do to get this car going?
I don't know. I'm just gonna poke around it today and see what you guys forgot, which is pretty much everything at a glance.
Yeah. Me personally, I feel like
Where did the motor come from?
the GTO.
Oh, it was just pulled out of that GTO. Straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It ran.
Oh, it ran, yeah.
Yeah,
Did
so
some
that's
burnouts
good.
in it. Yeah, this engine bay is kind of gross looking. Like, I feel like we should pull the engine out. Because realistically, the engine probably has to come out anyways to like really do this properly.
Yeah, probably. It's sitting super close to this side, and there's plenty of space over here.
Yeah, no, it's really odd. I mean, those motor mounts are probably pretty shot.
If you wanted to get rid of those Silverado headers and put something else on it.
Well, it's going to be pretty interesting if the motor sits any differently because that is a tight fit. Out of context, it's a real interesting hole, you know? Like, what is that?
It looks like the dude from Ghostbusters.
It'd be rad to like notch this out, put like the intake forward and like sheet that, you know? It just needs to be cooler.
The power steering is definitely different. Oh, that's from Holly then.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And then we have we have all the Holly and MSD parts on it, and then we have the dash on the inside. Whoops.
Is that a Scotto spec seat? Like,
Well, okay, so we have these floor mounts that are back there, but they didn't come in time, so Sergio made some like mounts out of just like, yeah, flat stock. And we gotta mount the shifter. We got the Holly EFI dash mounted in there, but I don't think it's wired up. The biggest thing, oh my God, this is bad, but have you looked at the suspension yet?
no.
Oh boy, we should put this thing up in the air. The rear is kind of where we have our big issue. Yeah, the front's fine. The rear, this isn't right.
That's a nice angle there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, spherical joints love working at, you know, their maxed out angle.
I know on a GTO, these go straight up.
Yeah, well, I think these are G8.
G8?
G8 coilovers. Oh yeah, and then it just has like a KW spring.
You guys want
mushed
to
in
follow me
there.
for a spring install on a Ute? We're done.
That's good. All right, lower this thing back down. Nitrous routing, pretty solid.
So this drive shaft is junk.
That center support bearing looks like it's seen better days.
Yeah, so that's gone. No.
Well, that's what you get with a GTO with 180,000 miles. I don't think GM made cars to last long.
180,000 miles on it?
One piece aluminum drive shaft.
Get rid of this stupid Guibo.
This Ute was actually a factory SS, so it had a V8
Oh yeah.
in it, so should have the limited slip.
Yes, sure does.
You want to tell the people how you can tell?
Rotate where the drive shaft would be and the input shaft. Both wheels are spinning forward. The other way is if you spin one wheel on an open diff, generally that wheel would spin the opposite direction of what I'm doing now, but they're both going forward. And then if you can hold it, it'll lock it. Yeah, it's got a diff.
So now you guys know if you ever buy a car and it's either something that could have came with a factory limited slip, or if you just bought some like project that some dude told you had a limited slip in it, now you know how to check. So looking under the car, you're thinking gotta go through the brakes, drive shaft, rear suspension, sort that out, hit up our buddies at BC and kind of lean on them to get us the proper rear shocks.
I think first burnout you try, the axles, everything gone.
Wheel hop city.
It just explodes. That needs to be sorted before we actually drive it. Heater hoses are all disconnected. There's nothing to the power steering. There's no fuel lines. Wiring's kind of everywhere. There's no wiring to the trans at all.
Is your brake line wire?
I don't know if this clutch will be bled properly. It looks pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to redo that.
I would say, I mean, I love a good engine bay. We should just pull this engine out, or you should pull this engine out. We as a team. If you guys know anything about our show, you know that we do everything as a we. So Hurt crashes a car, we crashed it. Dan pulls an engine, we pull the engine.
So I took a look under the GTO, which is just sitting up on the lift over there. And I found that like on this one here, this bolt's going this direction, but on the GTO, it's going that direction. So it would at least lever like a little better so this bolt isn't bent. Like it's still the wrong.
Let's go take a look at it, yeah.
Still the wrong angle, but I'm not confident that
It might work though.
So you can see, that's a better.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
see like
so-
the shock is still super straight
Yeah,
up,
see, yeah,
whereas
that
on
one's straight up.
the Ute it goes really inboard.
Right.
Actually, look, you can kind of see like where.
The problem is, it's like the whole lower control arm, knuckle, everything's together. So it couldn't, like, I guess you could do a bolt-on, like, mod for it, but that's a lot of work for no reason.
Weird, yeah.
Because I think we we might be able to take all of that out.
Oh, well, shit. Think about it, right? If the shock on that car was on here, but the shock went inboard, you would be able to twist the shock to lean it outward, right?
That's what I'm saying. So that won't have any kind of stress on that bolt like it does right now. It's still like the wrong angle.
Right. I mean, that might work. So you'd have to change this. It's like this thing's massive. It's like a trailing, it's the whole A-arm. So it's like a trailing arm, control arm.
I don't know like what the track width difference is, or I have no idea. But everything looks so similar to the bottom. Like, it's literally the same car from what I can see. So maybe just a little bit with a tape measure and figure out what's going on. I want to replace that shit.
Harsh lighting.
So light. So you made it to SEMA. Didn't run. Typical SEMA car. No drive shaft, Bluetooth wiring. So I got to finish it, but I need to find some parts, source some new parts, get the wiring done, get the plumbing done. We got to do the suspension and footwork because there's nothing in it is correct. Follow along with the build. Watch us get everything together. I'll teach you some tips. I'm gonna have to learn some things. We're gonna take this thing out in the lot, shred it for real, actually drive this car and beat the living hell out of it. I can't wait.